During the next couple of sessions, we're going to look at the topic of sniffing. We're going to talk about what sniffing is, why you would use it as a hacker, and basically how to do it. And we're going to have some demonstration of sniffing techniques. Now, sniffing is basically the process of eavesdropping on network traffic. And this could be traffic that's out there on the wire, on the local network, and it doesn't necessarily have to be bound for your computer. It can be bound for any other computer on the network. Now, normally, the way computers work and networks work are that computers will only respond to traffic that's intended for them. They'll only really react to traffic that's bound for their MAC address, their IP address. And that's the way it's supposed to work. Now, you can also cause your network card to look at and process all traffic across the network. And this is called promiscuous mode. In Linux, this is very easy to do. In Windows, not so much. In Windows, you have to have a special driver, typically WinPCAP, in order to do this. You can do it on Windows. You just have to have the WinPCAP driver to do so. So we're going to use a sniffer here in a moment in Linux, and I'll show you how to put the network card in promiscuous mode because it's not there by default. Now, sniffers can be software or hardware implementations. It can be a Windows box or a Linux box or whatever, and it could have software installed on it, or it could be a specific hardware implementation, and that's all it does is sniff. And these sniffers are designed to capture all the traffic off the network. They capture it, record it, analyze it, and in some cases categorize it for you. Now, there are wired and wireless sniffers, and the demo we're going to do here in a few moments is a wired sniffer. Later on in the course, in this chapter, in fact, we're going to look at wireless sniffers. And as I said, sniffers can be both for Linux and for Windows. Now, you have popular sniffers that are out there, but Wireshark's probably the most popular one that most people use for wired networks. It's free, it's easy to use. There's also sniffers that are very specific to things like wireless networks. AirCrackNG is a very good suite of tools that are specifically targeted at wireless networks, and there is a sniffer built into that as well. TCP dump comes with Linux, and it's kind of a rudimentary type of sniffer. Basically, it records traffic off the Ethernet interface. Now, sniffing is very effective against clear text protocols, and I'm talking things like HTTP, FTP, Telnet, DNS, and so forth. Anything that doesn't encrypt. And as we're going to see in our demonstration, there are good reasons not to use certain protocols because they send everything in clear text. Obviously, HTTP is used every day to access websites, and when you look at secure websites, you use HTTPS instead. Now, FTP and Telnet, on the other hand, are things you should avoid whenever you can, and we'll see why coming up in the demonstration. So sniffing is very effective against clear text protocols. It's not very effective against protocols such as SSH, SSL, and so forth, IPsec, HTTPS. Anything that you use to encrypt over a protocol is not going to be effective in terms of sniffing it. Now, there are some other countermeasures you can use against sniffing, encryption obviously, using those protocols I just mentioned, SSH, SSL, IPsec, and so forth. But there's also things you can do in terms of using switched networks. Switched networks really thwart sniffing because they only allow the host to see and sniff the traffic that's on its own subnet, obviously, but also between it and the switch. So there are ways around that. You can flood the switch and cause it to act like a hub and send everything out every port. But that can be a little bit more difficult. In some cases, almost impossible if the switch is configured properly and securely. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at sniffing. We're going to set up a few boxes, 3 boxes, a CentOS box, a Windows box, and a backtrack box that's actually going to sniff traffic. And then we're going to show you some other security considerations also that we're going to throw in there that are related to sniffing, like the use of clear text protocols and so forth. So let's go ahead and take a look at that.